In this video, we're going to go over how do we do addition and subtraction with decimals. It's very similar to how we do addition and subtraction with whole numbers, so we're actually going to start with just reviewing the process with two whole numbers here. 2,849 plus 357. Okay, so we start here in the ones place. 9 plus 7 is 16. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus another 5 gives me 10. 8 plus 3 is 11, plus 1 more is 12. And 1 plus 2 is 3, so we get 3,206. So remember, the key is we want to make sure we line them up by place value. The ones place and the ones place are lined up. The tens place and the tens place. The hundreds and the hundreds, right? There's nothing in the thousands place here. But if there was, it would be lined up. So when we add and subtract with decimals, we still need to make sure that the place values are lined up. So let's use these exact same digits, okay? But let me change the place value of these digits. So what if instead of 2,849 plus 357, what if we had 28 and 49 hundredths, or 28.49, plus 357. Well, I still need to make sure the place values are lined up. What place value is the 7 in? The ones place. So I could identify the ones place in this number, the 8. So I know the 8 goes here, the 2 goes here, and then that must mean here's my decimal point, the tenths place, and the hundredths place. Okay. Remember also that when we have whole numbers, right, we could add a decimal point, even if it's not shown. We just know that it's a bunch of zeros after it, right? There's no difference between $357 and $357 and 0 cents, right? So I'm going to go ahead and add those in because we want to, fill in the empty space. So also notice another way we could make sure we're doing it properly, just line up our decimal points, okay? Once we've gone ahead and made sure all our place values are lined up, we can even take the decimal point and just put it right down here in the answer. Now our process is exactly the same as it was here, okay? 0 plus 9 is 9. 0 plus 4, 4. 7 plus 8, 15. 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 2 gives me 8, and then 3. Okay, so notice our answer is drastically different. But aside from this new wrinkle, right, as long as we make sure we line up our place values, the process is exactly the same. Okay, so for subtraction, it's going to be exactly the same process, right? We're going to align them vertically, and we just want to make sure that all of our place values are aligned. The easiest way to do that would be to line up the decimal points. So I can go ahead and write my first number, 37 and 92 hundredths, okay, 37.92. And then if I go ahead and put my decimal here, well, that means the 8 goes here and 67 there, okay? Now that I've lined up my place values, we can go through the exact same subtraction process we use with whole numbers. Okay? Can I do 2 minus 7? No, I can't, so I need to borrow. This becomes a 12. 12 minus 7 gives me 5. 8 minus 6 gives me 2. Can I do 7 minus 8? No. So I need to borrow from the 3, make it a 2, and this now becomes 17. 17 minus 8 gives me 9, and then 2 minus nothing is 2. So 29 and 25 hundredths, or 29.25. So let's take a look at one more example. And in this one, we're going to be having just a whole number minus a number which does have some decimal value to it. Okay? So this is 27 minus 1 and 5 hundredths. Well, here's 27. And again, we talked about a whole number. Even if it's not shown, I know that there's a decimal point right here to the right of the ones place. So I'm going to put it here just to help me align properly, right? Minus, well, if my decimal point goes here, 1, 0, 5. Okay. So we should start here, but there's nothing to take away from, right? Let me put those placeholder zeros in. Again, $27, $27. It's no different. Okay, put my decimal point down here. Now that I've done that, this is no different than 2,700 minus 105 in terms of the process, right? So can I do 0 minus 5? No, I cannot. I need to borrow from the tenths place, but there's nothing here either. So first I need to get something here. Let's borrow from the 7. Make it a 6. The process is no different because the decimal's here. This now becomes a 10. Okay? Now that I have something here I can borrow, this becomes a 9 and this becomes a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus nothing is 9. 6 minus 1 gives me 5. And 2 minus nothing gives me 2. So again, you could think of this, I go to the store, I got $27, I spend $1.05. Now I'm going to get $25.95 in change back, right? If change is even a thing you still get. So I know that was quick, but like I said, it really builds upon what we already know in terms of how do we add and subtract with whole numbers. Really the only additional thing we need to make sure pay extra attention to is that we make sure we line everything up by place value. And I talked about how as long as you make sure that the decimal points line up, you'll be in good shape. And if you're given a problem like this where like you have 27 that's a whole number, right? There is no decimal. Just remember that even if it's not written, to the right of the ones place is the decimal point. And then as many zeros as I need. So in this case, I needed to add 2 zeros because this number went to the hundredths place. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.